Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not.
Yo, it's your boy Jade Lee, and we back at it again with another episode of Inspired Empire Podcast. Today, we got my friend, my partner in crime, Jade Lee, the pastor's daughter. Yee.
It's me. I'm in the building.
Hey. So you wanted to talk about being African American in Utah.
Yeah.
African American woman. Shout out to all the passionate sisters out
ladies.
there. You know, why do you feel like that's important?
Because I feel like in our society, especially with the way the world is going, a lot of people we know have that black culture, but when you grow up in a predominantly white state, it's different because you don't have that culture around you unless you're in an area that's like, you know, like West Valley, that's all where all the black people are at.
Yeah, it's like a melting pot.
Yeah, but if you grew up like I did in the suburbs, your neighbors don't look like you. So it's a lot harder for me to like relate with people on the East Coast because they got that culture. Everybody around them is black. And I have to live my blackness either like through my parents and like their families, like going to visit them in like Florida or Philly, where my dad's from. And rather than Utah, there's no black culture here in Utah. So I feel like it's very important to talk about that because somebody out there might relate. So
I feel you. So are you from Utah?
Born and raised.
What?
Yeah.
I never knew that. I didn't never ask you that question. I thought you was from Florida because your family's from Florida, right?
Yeah, my mom's side is from Florida. We moved there for about a few years, and then we moved back, and I've been back for like 16 years now.
So, I mean, when you were growing up here, what type of things did you face? Like, did you get some racism?
I didn't experience racism until I moved to Utah, because when I lived in Florida, my neighbors were everybody. My neighbor directly across the street was Mexican. Like, we had everybody, so I didn't know what it was. Like, the schools out there, it's Florida. And then when I moved here, that's when they started pointing out, like, you black. Like, you black. And I was like, what does that mean? Like,
Exactly.
I had racist teachers. Like, one time in 6th grade, I was laughing. Like, the whole class was laughing about something. And my teacher's like, oh, she's blushing. I didn't know they could do that. I said,
That's different.
Yeah. And as a kid, you're like trying to figure it out, like what we were taught about racism. But when you actually experience it at a young age.
Right. Because, like, so I'm from Missouri. So, like, when I was there, I went from, like, an all-black school. And then the next year, actually, like, not even a year, like, within months, I went to a all-white school at Gerald Wright. And that was, like, a culture shock because, like, we would watch Ruby Bridges.
Why they make us watch that movie?
Everybody stare at you in a class like this. Like, so it's like, they'll say the N-word, they'd be like, look back at you. It was kind of like weird, but I didn't get racism until I played football. Like, I remember I had the ball and some kid called me the N-word and I was like, I didn't know how to feel because I'm like, damn, I be seeing this in the movies, but this really like that. Like, that's crazy. Because we went to Cyprus, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever experience racism at Cyprus?
Yeah, my dad almost pulled us out because it was like a month straight kids just calling me and my sisters. After y'all left, the only black kids was me and my sisters, like me and my family that was there, and then maybe a few others. So there was like 1 month in particular, kids just kept calling us the N-word. My sister ended up fighting a boy. Like, my dad was ready to pull us out, but Mr. Beck was like, no, like, we love your kids. My dad had so much money invested in that school with James's football, my cheer, Jaleesa's dance. Like, so he was like, I'll let him finish it out. But, yeah, he was ready to pull us out of Cyprus because it was getting bad.
See, it was weird because, like, I would have white friends, and then I would have, like, black friends. I have poly friends, and I've experienced racism with all of them.
All of them.
Hell, I ain't gonna lie, I let out a couple jokes, but my thing is, like, it'd be so weird because, like, we'd be cool, and it'd just be like, you cool for a black person. You'd be like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, but then I would let it out, too. Like, damn, you pretty cool for a white person.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you're around white people, you don't be, like, no offense to my white people that watch, but, like, I'd be scared to befriend them because, like, there's a culture difference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you'd be like, you could be cool, but then they get mad. It's like, you
still a nigga.
Yeah, like, you'd be like, damn.
Yeah.
Okay. How has being in Utah affected you dating?
Ooh, the dating pool here. Don't even get me started. I've said it. I'll say it. If you don't agree, that's okay. But I feel like in Utah, especially from my experience, black women are so slept on. Like, we are slept on. Like, we are always last choice because we're either too loud, too ghetto, everybody's heard the stereotypes. From my experiences, yeah, I've been around a lot of black men, and they're like, yeah, we love our black women, but I never see them date them. So it's like, growing up, you think, like, what's wrong with me? Obviously it's my skin, but it's like, if a brother don't want me, what's the problem? And there's already so many limited, and I'm like, black women are the blueprint. You know how many times I've gotten asked, is my body fake? If my lips are real or not. We are the blueprint. So when you start having those other races start mimicking what a black woman already does, it makes it so much harder for us, because then people don't think that we're still our real authentic selves.
I feel like with black women, I would say they are slept on, but like, it's the same thing. It's really not many of us out here.
Right.
And from what I know, a lot of them are young. So I'm like 26, and it's either you dating an older woman or a young woman. I'm gonna generate towards the younger women because I'm young, obviously. But growing up, obviously, even when I lived in Missouri, a lot of dudes be like, man, I need me a light skinned chick, or I need this, or I need that, or like, it's just kind of weird, like how that stigma is, like a dark skinned woman.
Right.
Like, that's just kind of weird, because like, your mama's dark. My mama dark.
Your mama.
Exactly. Like, my mama's dark. So like, I don't know. I've never been that way. Like, man, I don't want to date no black girl. So like, when I hear, because growing up here, there's a lot of mixed kids. So like, when you're hearing, you'll be like, man, you dark as hell. And like, you're like, damn, bro, like your daddy or your mama look just like me. Like,
yeah,
that's sus. Like, I'd be like, okay. Like, we got friends that be doing that. We do the light skin, dark skin thing, but it's like, why are you doing that? Like, why? Because a lot of them grow up in white families. So like, I feel like it's been done to them. So when they get in our group, they like, oh, y'all dark.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I wanted to talk about this topic in general, is like, let's say you do have those kids who are adopted by white families or by other races, or, whatever. They don't have their culture until they get around, when they finally find their black friends. Because I've been there. Because, again, we're in Utah. There's not a lot of us. So I had my group of white friends growing up. And then when I found my black friends, you can still be that's when you tap in to your true self, because with your white friends, you're always seen as that token black friend. Right. Like how they do it on jobs sometimes. They're like, diversity, we got that one black person. It's the token quota. Yeah, it's the token black person. But at the end of the day, you still a nigga. You still black. They see that before anything, regardless of your accomplishments. We're told we have to work double just to make it in this world.
Right. You can't get away with a lot of things that other people do.
Exactly.
Which is very true.
Yeah. So I feel like, and I've seen it, I had white friends that were adopted by white people, and, they're considered whitewashed. You know how they talk.
Yeah.
Their political views change, all that stuff like that, because of their environment. And then when they finally, like, branch out and they start thinking for themselves, they're like, dang, like, you start to realize, like, not saying that white people are bad, but how their views can change somebody who they've gotten, that's another race, at a young age. And then when they finally grow up and it's like, they see it for themselves. Because, yeah, you can have a black child and you may not directly be racist towards them by calling them the N-word, but you still have microaggressions. You still have your little sly comments. They still may be treated differently through the rest of your family. So
I feel you, because that's like one thing I fear with my son right now, because he's mixed. He's Italian, Mexican, and black. So like, and he's light, like he's really light. So like, we've had people ask like, when is he gonna get darker? Like, and for me, that's like in my head, I'm like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, I know he's gonna go through things that I've made jokes about, like, oh, he gonna have to prove his blackness. Like, I know he's gonna have to go through that. Like, so for me, it's kind of scary, because in Utah, he's more than likely gonna grow up in Harriman.
Yeah.
Ain't that many black people in Harriman.
At all.
So I feel like he's gonna be wanting to like try to look for his blackness, and like he's gonna feel confused. Like he might have a family member say something, and he might feel a way, but then again, he was like, well, but I'm also this. So like, he's gonna have to figure out how to educate all three races.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's hard if you're not surrounded by
Yeah,
that.
and that's something that you won't be able to relate to. Like, you can relate, but you can't relate because he is a mixed child. Like, black people, we have our own struggles. But mixed children, they have it different because it's either they're too black for the white folks, too white for the black folks, and then it's like an identity crisis. And that sucks. I had this conversation with a friend. I was like, to be honest, I don't want no mixed kids because I don't want my child to grow up and be something that I can't relate to. Yeah, you may be light-skinned, you may have colored eyes, and you may get picked on because of those things, but I can't relate to that because I was a black woman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that may sound selfish or whatever, but if I have children, I want them to look like me so I can relate to them and know that you know what I mean?
I feel that.
It's just a different aspect. Not saying that's going to happen in life because you never know, but that was just something that I had thought about one night and was like, dang.
I mean, I used to think the same way, but even though there is a negative aspect on it, I feel like there's also a positive.
Oh, for sure.
As far as my son's light skin, he's 3 different races, but I'm sure all 3 sides had a thought like, oh, they've all had their thoughts like Mexican people like this, white people like this, black people like this.
Yeah.
But after we had him, it was kind of like everybody was like, bam, you know what I'm saying? And that's where it's good to have mixed kids, but I mean, that's just kids in general. It brings people together.
Oh, yeah.
You know? With my son, because even with his mom, like, she doesn't understand certain things, so like I have to educate her on stuff, you know, like, hey, maybe we could teach him this, and this, because even I want to know her Mexican side. Like, I don't know anything about Hispanics or anything like that. I got Mexican friends, but I don't know about their cultures, nothing like that. Even Italians, I want to know about them. I mean, there's a stigma with Italians and black people. There's a stigma with Mexicans and blacks. Like, I feel like I talked about last week, education can help everything like that, you know? So, now, as far as just the whole black community, do you feel like black women, because I've noticed this on social media, do you feel like black women are mostly shamed more than any other race?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I feel like in the same sense, black women still have to hold themselves accountable. Because, you know, like going back to the topic where everybody has their preferences. And it's always this topic on Twitter with black men and white women. And it's like, yes, people have their preferences. But when it becomes like a fetish or you have to bring down somebody else to state your preference, then that's where the lines get blurred and it's no longer a preference. But I feel like in those instances, we as black women, okay, if the brothers don't want us, let's move on. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to keep harboring on. And it can be disheartening sometimes seeing them just like, and wanting to fight so hard to be loved by our brothers. And it's like, sometimes we just have to call it how it is. Like, all right, you know what? There's not always going to be like that, but we have to hold ourselves accountable and not try to get so involved when a black man says, well, I don't date black women. You're like, all right, that's you, do you.
Right. I mean, even though some people don't date black women, I feel like even if a man dates outside of the black community, we get shamed.
Y'all get
like,
chastised.
I've been shamed.
Chastised.
Yeah, I got chastised, and I'm not against black women. I love black women. Like, I love black women. So for me, it was like, damn, when I got with Jennifer, it was like, everybody's like, oh, you just want you a white girl. I'm like, damn, I made sure she was half Mexican.
Like, I just liked her.
She ain't full white, but goddamn. But like, it's just one of them things. Like, man, you need to keep, like, it was hard for me because a lot of people were kind of like trying to pull and tug me, like, man, you need to like stick with your race and do that. But I ain't been like that because I got mixed brothers and sisters, so it's like, it's different for me.
Yeah,
you know, like,
that's
my
what I'm saying.
brother's half white, my sister's half white, and it's like, I don't see it like that. But some people, like back home, they're very closed-minded.
Yeah,
like they don't know anything outside of Missouri. Like, they've never experienced stuff. So like, say if they were to move here, I don't believe they would be able to adjust. They gonna be like, these white people did this.
Culture shock.
This white person did this. These people are looking at me. Like, for me, I don't think anything of those things. So it's different because I've been here for so long and I'm used to certain things. I understand white people are gonna have a thought about me. Mexican people might have a thought about me, but it don't affect me.
Yeah.
You know? So how do you feel like with the culture shock for you, because you've been here your whole life, how do you feel like that has affected you?
It's affected me negatively and positively because I've had to learn that people are, people can be rude. Like, people can be ruthless. They're going to tell you black. But then you do have those people that are like, yeah, I don't care. And they actually mean it. Like, I don't care what color you are. Even I don't see color. I hate that statement. But people who actually just don't care. Like, my best friend, Paige, she's a ginger. Ginger and black people, we tight. Like, we've been best friends since the 4th grade. And her family is just as country and redneck as they come. And then you have my black family, and we were all so close. Like, so that kind of helped me, like, okay, not all white people are like this. Like I said, I didn't experience racism until I came here. And it didn't stop after a couple occurrences. Like, people point you out in stores, following you around the stores when you're just trying to shop. Like, it gets annoying. But there are benefits of it, because then being a black person and being a black woman, when you get invited into spaces to share your voice and people recognize and understand, like, we can't speak for you, you speak. You know what I mean? That stuff right there is empowering. Like, getting invited to do podcasts or getting invited to go to, like, marches and movements, just with, like, the current world events, like, and then people recognizing, like, hey, this is not our battle. We can be allies, but let them speak. That stuff right there, chef's kiss.
I feel you.
Like, yeah.
Because, like, to be honest, I feel like everybody wants to be black.
Till it's time to be black.
Till it's time to be black. But on that note, everybody wants to be black. I mean, we basically, our culture runs pretty much the whole world. Everybody wants to be like us. Yep. So I feel like being here, we get embraced. Yeah. But like you said, until it's time to really embrace us, it's like, oh, no.
Yeah,
like,
don't do that.
Hold on now. You're doing too much.
Yeah.
Calm down. Like, especially in the corporate world.
Code switching.
I've learned, like, people be like, my hair, right? So my hair, I have waves. People be like, how did you do that to your hair? Or like, can I touch your hair? Or like, what's this thing on your head? A do-rag. Like, what does that do? Like, and it's just one of those things, like, you have to get used to that. Because if you're in Missouri or anywhere else, they be like, get the hell away from me.
Right.
Like, what the hell wrong with you? You racist.
Like, you see how long my hair is.
Right.
People
like, is that your real hair?
Is that your real hair? Or when I do wear weaves or wigs, why do you do that if you have, it's like, bro, leave me alone. Like, exactly. I have never in my life just wanted to just walk outside and just live for 2 seconds, like, without somebody asking me if my hair is real or why do I wear stuff like that. And it's like, when I was in college, I had box braids. Everybody was looking at me so crazy. And a white girl walked by and she had box braids. And they were, oh my God, her hair. And I was like, am I in the Twilight Zone? I said, first of all, her hair gonna fall out. Second of all, it's like, I'm not trying to get on a tangent about culture appropriation, but it's that prime example. I can't wear my hair in the same exact style without being it looked down on, but somebody else gets praised for it in the same space. So I'm like,
I mean, it's the same stigma with dreads. Like, I mean, when they tell you not to show up to an interview with dreads, for a certain reason. I mean, even with our names or anything like that, like, my son's name was Damari. It was a public uproar in the family. They said, oh, you gave him a black name? Yeah. I was like, I didn't know that was a black name.
I just like the name Damari.
But, like, my mom was like, he is never going to get a job. I said, damn. What the hell does that even mean? Like, my name Donze.
Yeah.
You didn't even think about me. Damn.
I can't relate. Like, I feel like I got a white girl name.
What you got, Jade?
Jade.
Is Jade a white girl name?
I don't know. I know a couple white girls named Jade, but
said,
it's definitely not a black name for sure.
Jade?
Yeah.
I feel like I know a lot of black Jades.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not met one.
Well, they light skinned.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They in the middle. They in the middle. But it's okay. Like, they black.
I feel like with the older generations too, they ain't moving with today's times.
Yeah.
Our generation, especially our generation of black people, we are breaking barriers and changing stigmas. Like, you seen that one lawyer who has dreads and he said he wasn't cutting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we are more than just our hair. Like, our hair is not going to define whether we get a job or not. Yes, it will, but we're taking it to a place where it won't.
In Utah, you would not have a problem getting a job. I don't care what your name is, what you look like, the tattoos on the face. They will hire you. They don't care. They say it quota. Desperate. Literally quota. But at the same time, I feel like in the corporate world, I've been lucky, but then again, not lucky. Like, I've had bad experiences, good experiences, but I'm well spoken. Like I know how to speak to
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
You know, and people want to talk to you because obviously, like we're black. So like,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, people want to be like us or like they want to know about us or anything like that. It's just you got to be careful with people from what
Yeah.
I've learned.
I'm telling you.
When you went to college, because you went to Weber, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to know about Weber because that's everybody's like that's the black school. That's the black school.
It was.
What? How was Weber?
It definitely changed me. Coming out of high school, graduating, and then going to college, I was scared. I was like, this is college. And then in my dorms, I was in the dorms with the athletes. So the second floor was all football, and I was on the third floor. And I was like, dang, I'm really about to get a run for my money because I ain't never going to sleep. But it was really cool because I made a lot of friends, came from a lot of backgrounds. And I've always like hanging out with you guys, my brothers. Like, I'm like, I know about football, but I wasn't trying to be that girl.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care. But yeah, there was a lot of black people. We all stuck together. You know how in Cyprus we had the Cove?
Mm-hmm.
At Weber we had the Union.
Yeah.
And that was like our Cove. Like that's where everybody hung out every day. Like we just checked on each other and made sure like everybody was straight. And I was like, dang, I've never really had like a big group of black people around. Like I'm like, I've lived here my whole life. And a lot of people when they met me, they're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, here. And they're like, you don't sound like you from here. I'm like, I don't want to sound like I'm from here. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not finna.
I know.
Okay.
It's be embarrassing. Like, when I go home, they be like, hey, you sound white. Like,
Yeah.
I'm culture shocked. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, but that's one thing I like about Utah, though, because, like, when black people, even when you see a black person, you be so happy. Like, because when I go back to Missouri, I don't get none of that. You be so happy. We be hugging each other and stuff. Like,
each
it's
other
pretty
up.
cool. Like, I feel like we embrace each other here more than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Even when other people come, they're like, man, all the black people say hi. This is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
y'all really fuck with each other. This is dope. Because back home, they tell me not to go to the gas station. like, damn, I just want to go get some candy. No, don't go over there. Don't go over there. Don't do it. The black people ain't black people tripping over there.
I know.
So I feel like in Utah, a lot of people have this stigma of like Utah is just this Mormon culture. They run, don't get me wrong, they run everything, but like as far as the culture here in Salt Lake City, it's liberal. Like they really fuck with the people, just all races. They're all cool. Don't get me wrong, there's some bad apples.
Oh yeah.
But here in Utah, I feel like the melting pot and all the kids and a lot of kids are mixed here.
Yeah.
So like it's becoming a aura here that's like changing. It's just flipping.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of white people. that might have changed for a long time. Still a lot of white people. But it's just slowly changing like the dynamic of Utah. I feel like if in about 20 years, I feel like everybody will be brown. Not gonna lie. I feel like everybody gonna be brown because like I said, everybody want to be black. Everybody like black kids. That's terrible to say.
Yeah,
everybody
they
love
do.
black kids. Everybody wants black kids. But that is also a dangerous thing. I feel like having a black kid can be a dangerous thing. And the only reason why I say that is because a lot of people don't understand what we go through. So like when your kid comes home crying or anything like that, they're not gonna understand it.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to understand. Like I spoke to a girl, and she called me on the phone to about her business. She has a candle business, right? And she's doing it for her son who was half black. And she told me, she was like, well, I was dating a guy at the time and he was black and he got discriminated against. And I felt like because my son is half black and that happened, I felt like it was my obligation to stand up and do something. But she was like, but I don't understand. She was like, I feel like I need to justify what I'm doing when other black people are questioning me. Because I'm like, yeah, you're going to get that. Because some people are like, you just clout chasing.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Because some white people mess it up for the other ones.
They do.
But I was like, honestly, most time we fuck with it. Like, we be cool with it. It's just like, if we feel like you are clout chasing, we gonna call you out. But
Yeah, we can
we
tell.
gonna call you a bluff. But like, if you stick with it, then yeah, we fuck with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's that bad. What is your opinion on that? Like other white people trying to, cause like with the whole Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, I went to the protest.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of white people there. So it was like, there was no black people and it was like, we got blamed for it. Like, what is your opinion of white people trying to stand up for us?
My thing is, and like you were saying, like they can't relate. They have to be prepared to know that they are never going to be able to relate to what we go through. Like if you adopt a black child or you hang around black friends, just because you grow up with black people, you will still never understand what we go through. And you have to be prepared to know that. So like I was saying earlier, like with the movements and marches and all of that, it's okay to acknowledge the problem. But when you're trying to speak for black people, that's where it becomes an issue. You can be an ally, but you need to give us that platform to raise our voices, because at the end of the day, we live with this 24/7. And so, like you said, if you sticking with it, if you're like, yeah, I'm an ally for black people, like I really ride for y'all, and you sticking with it, yeah, of course. But if you just clout chasing like them people that was just going to take pictures and say that they were there, or posting the black square on Instagram, like, and then nothing else, and we gonna call that out.
And that's actually what I was gonna bring up. There's people that are with it, but they just stay silent when things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are like, damn, that's fucked up, but they won't say nothing if stuff happen. And I bring this up because I have friends that were like that in high school and went to Cyprus. So it was like, I would be cool with somebody. I didn't sleep over this kid's house, everything like that. And he'd be like, what a effing, and like hard R. And I'm like, bro, what the hell? Like, that's what we doing?
Yeah.
Like, y'all do that out here in Magna? Like, god damn. Like, that's what we on. Like, it's shocking that how quick that flips.
Oh, man.
And it's like, okay, now I understand why people be like my mom be like, you need to be careful with all the white people. Like, and I'll be like, Mom, you tripping. Like, It ain't like that. It ain't like that out here. But it can be, and it's also not. Yeah. You got some people that are cool, but it's just one of the things, like, you got to get used to that shit, because it's everywhere. It's not just here. Yeah. It's everywhere. So, like, but it's worse in other places. You know what I'm saying? As far as you working in Empire, how do you feel like that has impacted the culture shock? Do you feel like, because there's all races that come here, right?
Yeah, a lot of races. I was ecstatic when Greg was like, yo, like, I'm looking for a shop to be a part of it. Because I was ready to leave the corporate world. I was like maybe one of two black people on the floor. I got tired of being there. And like I said, the microaggressions, and I was working double and still not being like rewarded for it. Like, they'd be like, yeah, we see your hard work. Here's a pizza party. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I've been here for 3 years. Where's my raise?
Pizza party.
Yeah. So coming here and working with my brothers and my sisters, like, it's been great. But I've noticed in our area, Harriman, like, there's a lot of people who have adopted black children, and they are struggling to help them keep up with their hair. Like, either the kids just don't want to do it no more, or the parents don't even know where to start. So I was like, we need to host some type of class or something to educate these families, because they're coming in here and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, this lady came in a few weeks ago, and God bless her soul, we helped her daughter. Like, Greg did his thing on her head, and she was just crying. She was like, I just felt so bad. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and like, I'm trying. And she has like 6 adopted black kids and like 5 Filipino kids. So I'm like, I commend you for taking these kids in when need, but it's like they're struggling. They don't know what to do. And so I feel like with us opening this shop and having many races in and out, people can tell, like, this is the blueprint for diversity.
Right.
Like, this right here is the blueprint.
Right.
So
I feel like when they did open the shop and I started seeing more races come in, I'm like, wow. Because at first with the mobile shop, don't get me wrong, I would see white people, obviously, but like, now it's a foundation. So like, people are bringing families in, and like you said, through Utah, you're gonna see the light-skinned kids or the dark-skinned kids that are adopted, and their hair just look crazy. You be looking like, dang, poor baby. Like, because even my son, like, my girl didn't know what to do with his hair, because she was like, man, his hair is so dry. She was putting this oil in. I'm like, what is this oil? So I had to like tell her, like, hey, you gotta put like pink lotion in there or something.
Oh,
like,
Lord, I can smell the pink lotion.
Going. Put the water in there, and ever since then, it's just like she knows what to do now. Like, so I'm like, hey, when you get his haircut, let me know. Don't just go get his haircut at Super Clips. Right. Not Great Clips. Don't do none of that. Just give him to me. We going. So that's one of the things, like I said, like, having black kids, it's just one of those things, like, you kind of gotta understand the dynamic of what you putting yourself into, like what your kid might feel. Yeah. But you'll never know. Nope. Especially if you're not black, you'll never know.
You ain't gonna never know.
So I mean, what do you feel like you want to leave people with before we end the podcast? Ooh, think about it.
Yeah, that's a deep question.
Take a second.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. One thing I want to leave the people with is that, hey, I'm not ashamed to be black. I'm black and I'm proud. I do not regret anything, how I've grown up, the experiences. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world because it's made me who I am. And people can see that, like, hey, you know, she dope. Because I am.
You are dope. You are. I ain't gonna lie. You one of the dopest people I know. That's why I had to bring you on here.
Of course, I appreciate it.
Shit, talk your
I
shit.
appreciate
you know
it. Of course.
Hey, but that ends our podcast today. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Church.